Now, as a lot of you guys probably already know, I'm a huge fan of both the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF SCHD, but my second favorite dividend growth ETF across the entire market would probably have to be the Fidelity High Dividend ETF, or ticker symbol FDVV. Now, both these ETFs have been in my portfolio for quite some time. SCHD is in there in a much larger amount, although as of recently, I have considered moving over my daily allocation to some more FDVV for a few specific reasons. But in this video, what I want to do is talk about SCHD and FDVV and share with you guys what these ETFs are, how they work, and sort of compare and contrast both these ETFs to figure out which one might be better suited for a dividend investor's long-term portfolio, and also try to figure out which of these ETFs are going to perform better over the next 10 or so years. All to say that if you're a dividend growth investor, definitely stick around, drop a like down below, and let's get right into it. My A to Z dividend investing ebook has already helped countless dividend investors get started with their journey. And my custom dividend tracker, the one I use all the time on my videos, has also helped so many investors stay organized and has actually helped them see their dividend income grow. Well, today I have something even better for you guys. When you click the first link down below in my description and you grab my A to Z dividend investing ebook, today you're not only going to get the ebook, but you're also going to be getting the custom dividend tracker, which you can use to track your own dividend income ongoingly. Get direct access to my personal email where you guys can email me any questions regarding dividend investing. You're also going to receive a link to view all my holdings inside my 7-figure dividend portfolio and see all the positions I add and take away ongoingly. And you're going to get for absolutely free my brand new high yield dividend investing ebook, where I show you the power of maximizing some of these high yielding ETFs and teach you everything there is to know about that also. This is going to be your one shot to grab everything inside of one single bundle, but you got to move quick because I'm not going to offer this for long. Now, with all that, let's get back into the video. Now, of course, we've already compared SCHD to FDVV several different times in past videos, but I came across this article on seekingalpha.com from Andre B. It says SCHD versus FDVV, how these two great dividend funds compare. I started reading through this article. It was very, very good, so I wanted to share with you guys. So first of all, the summary says SCHD focuses on consistent dividend growth with a high dividend yield that has almost tripled since the fund's inception back in 2011. While FDVV's yield is roughly 3%, which is lower compared to SCHD's 3.7%, FDVV strikes a robust balance between yield and price appreciation because, of course, its holdings. FDVV's higher tech exposure has driven recent outperformance, while SCHD's defensive, yield-focused approach has lagged since 2024 amid sector shifts. SCHD offers more consistent dividend growth and lower volatility, appealing to risk-conscious long-term dividend investors seeking reliable payouts. FDVV suits those wanting a blend of yield and price appreciation, especially if tech continues to rally, but SCHD still remains a strong choice for dividend stability. They then said SCHD has been falling and lagging behind many other dividend funds since about 2024. The lag became more visible during the tariff craze back in April. Some investors are even making calls to ditch SCHD in favor of other dividend ETFs, but which other ones can provide a comparable yield or perhaps capture price appreciation better? In this analysis, I dive into another fund called the Fidelity High Dividend ETF, or FDVV. The goal is to compare and see under what scenarios one or the other could be a better fit. So first, just for some basics, looking at the AUM, SCHD is much larger than that of FDVV. The expense ratio is also more expensive on FDVV. The yield is also lower on FDVV, and there is a little bit more holdings. Now, FDVV's top holdings are going to be technology, so during times like we've seen since 2024, where technology has definitely outperformed, this fund has outperformed SCHD by a decent margin. And really over every single time frame, FDVV has been outperforming SCHD on the 1-year return, 14.66% versus SCHD's 1.58%, the 3-year return around 30% versus 68%, and the 5-year return around 71% versus 128%. FDVV for more balanced yield and growth. FDVV does not go after the highest payouts. Its current dividend yield of around 3% is lower than SCHD's 3.7%, but the benefit of owning FDVV comes from its investing strategy. The fund goes after yield without sacrificing much price appreciation. The ETF tracks the Fidelity High Dividend Index. FDVV invests in a mix of large and mid-cap US stocks paying dividends, but not only that, the ETF can put up to 10% in international equities from developed markets. This is quite uncommon among value-focused US dividend funds. With this provision, FDVV can pull stocks from a wider investment pool. This can improve its diversification and yield profile. As of late, the fund invested roughly 5% of its assets in foreign equities. So especially back during the tariff situation, it was sort of nice having some international exposure for those investors out there that did have that. I didn't really have much international exposure, but during broad-based declines, it does get me thinking more and more about maybe having a tad more of international exposure. It then says SCHD prioritizes dividend growth. Unlike FDVV, SCHD excludes real estate investment trusts. SCHD prioritizes dividend consistency and growth. It tracks the Dow Jones US Dividend 100 Index for that. SCHD's signature rule for a given stock is its minimum of 10 years of paying cash dividends. Such a screen alone, which eliminates a large number of equities, only companies with a commitment to their dividend policies remain. Often these are firms that are much less likely to cut their dividends if things turn south. They then go on to say that SCHD ranks stocks based on yield and eliminates the bottom half. In other words, there is no place for low yielding stocks in the fund's portfolio. Whatever is left gets ranked by the following metrics, things like free cash flow to total debt, return on equity, yield, and 5-year dividend growth rates. And they then go on to talk about the total return comparison if you stack up SCHD next to FDVV on the max time frame. And I'm going to show you guys here in a second, FDVV has outperformed, which is definitely something to be mindful of. I mean, if you stack up both ETFs in the max time frame, ever since basically April of this year, FDVV has been outperforming SCHD by a large margin. And this is obviously because the holdings inside of FDVV, there's much more tech-focused names like Nvidia, Microsoft, and Apple, which just these 3 names alone make up over 15% of the entire ETF. Now, if and when we do see times in the future throughout the market where technology does sell off, we are going to see names like FDVV get hit pretty hard, where names like SCHD, which are much more defensive, will probably hold up pretty well. So there's a few things that SCHD definitely has going for it. The dividend yield is much larger, starting off around 3.7, 3.8%. The dividend growth historically has also been much larger than that of FDVV, around 11% over the last 10 years. But FDVV does give you exposure to equities that are probably going to grow a lot faster, again, during times where the market is very green. So for investors that are solely seeking the largest total return possible, you're probably better off buying FDVV. But for me personally, I'd rather take this slow and steady defensive approach, buying SCHD even if it underperforms by a little bit. Now, all to say that in my portfolio, like I mentioned here in the intro, I currently do own some FDVV. I also own a ton of SCHD, and will probably keep buying a lot more of each of them in the future. So being diversified even across 2 different dividend growth ETFs, I absolutely see nothing wrong with that. So now that we talked about SCHD and of course my other favorite FDVV, we compared them a little bit and even talked about what each of the ETFs probably have over each other. I'd lastly, most importantly, have a question for you guys down below. If I were to ask you to pick between one, SCHD or FDVV, which ETF would you personally pick? Let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like in it, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.